What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny. Back again, one more video. Thanks for tuning into the channel. If you have not, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share the video if you like the information you hear. Today's video, another Thomas Sowell banger. Shout out Thomas Sowell. It's almost disheartening that this man is, like 80, 90 years old. We all went through school not hearing any of his wisdom. I asked my dad, did he know him? He said no. My mom's already passed, but she didn't know. So it's hard to criticize Black people because we've all been hit with this massive propaganda. So we really don't know what's real and what's not. So instead of taking the route of being someone who is Black people, y'all just got to do better. And Black people, y'all just got to wake up. I'm trying to shine the light. I'm going to show you a little light in that dark room you in. And just follow that light, and we're going to make it out. So rock with me. Myth about Black history promoted by the left. Let's go.
You say 1619 is as important as 1776.
Yes. Our decision to buy that first group of 20 to 30 Africans would influence almost everything that would follow after. I think it is foundational. It is as foundational to who we became as a country as our decision in 1776 to break off from the British.
Recently, some school districts have decided that they'll be teaching a unit on early American history based on the New York Times 1619 project, which illustrates how the founding of this country is inextricably tied to the institution of slavery.
One of the sad things is that we talk in this country as if slavery was something unique to the United States or to Blacks and whites. And in point of fact, slavery was one of the oldest institutions among human beings. They go back as far as there is recorded history. Archaeological finds suggest that slavery existed before human beings could read and write. So what a racial difference between the slaves and the enslavers, that is a relatively new phenomenon. You didn't have in ancient times the ability to go to another continent and move millions of people of a different race across the ocean. So you enslaved the people who were nearby. The Europeans enslaved Slavs for centuries before they brought the first Black African to the Western Hemisphere.
Okay, but so you're not suggesting, you do not wish to say anything other than that slavery as practiced in the United States it may have been recent, but you'd be willing to grant that it was particularly perverse and destructive because race got mixed into it at that point, right?
Race got mixed into it in the United States more than anywhere else for a very simple reason. The United States was founded, as the Declaration said, of independence, said all men are created equal.
Right.
If that's true, then the only way you can justify slavery is to say that some men are less than men.
I see. So the racial
but in Brazil, where Brazil,
and my thought is, so tie that in with 2021. Who's still talking about race, the left or the right? The left wants to keep this narrative going, just like you can go back to watching Birth of a Nation by D.W. Griffith and see what the left thought of Black people back then as well.
Imported more slaves than the United States. There was no such ideology. Brazil was not a democratic country. The whole issue never arose.
I see.
One of the most pervasive stereotypes about Black Americans is that of the absent Black father. Where does this toxic idea about Black fathers even come from? Well, one theory takes it back to a 1965 report titled "The Negro Family, the Case for National Action." The report became one of the most contentious political documents in 20th century America. Democrat and Assistant Secretary of Labor Daniel Patrick Moynihan put the report together to make the argument for how the Lyndon B. Johnson administration had to do more for racial equality than simply pass the Voting Rights Act. Moynihan argued that to really fight racial inequality, the government had to understand the state of Black communities and why they were the way they were. But Moynihan ended up focusing on one thing: the Black family. According to him, the fundamental reason for growing economic inequality between white and Black Americans was a crumbling family structure in Black communities. And at the foundation of the so-called crumbling Black family structure, was the absent Black father. Moynihan looked at non-marital birth rates and rates of fathers living separately from their children and made a whole bunch of assumptions about parents' relationship statuses and parental involvement. The report didn't take into account factors like the legacy of slavery, generational wealth, or even economic migration.
What does slavery have to do with staying together to raise your kids? Like, this is why I have such a disdain for intellectuals, because they make zero sense. We grew up dummy poor, had a mom and daddy. Black families have always been together. They will justify any reason to say, well, it's because of slavery, it's because of white supremacy, it's because of generational wealth. After the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865, there were 4,027 millionaires in the United States. 6 of them were Black. There's been Black millionaires since the 1800s. This idea about generational wealth, will every Black person ever be wealthy in America? Probably not. But to keep painting with a broad brush that none of us have been able to excel or exceed expectations, it's really condescending. And I don't know what's worse, is that so many white people think that we've never been able to meet expectations, or so many Black people around with that way, like, yeah, we always been held back. No, we ain't ever been held back. Whoever has wanted to succeed has succeeded, and whoever has wanted to be lazy has found an excuse.
In which men left their homes so that they could provide for their families.
A fallacy is that the current fatherless families so prevalent among contemporary Blacks are a legacy of slavery, where families were not recognized under slavery. This ignores the fact that the problem has become much worse among generations of Blacks far removed from slavery than among generations closer to the era of slavery, yes. Close quote. Explain that.
You mean explain why it is so, or
yes? Yeah, why is that? Why? What on earth is going on there? That is so counter to what we assume.
Well, first of all, the people, most people have not recognized the fact that that if you go back into the 20s, you find that married couple families were much more prevalent among Blacks then than today. Most Black kids grew up in homes with 2 parents under slavery itself, and for generations thereafter. And as late as the 1960s, most Black children grew up in 2-parent homes. When you think about it, I mean, centuries of slavery and generations of Jim Crow did not destroy the Black family, but one generation of the welfare state did. Moynihan was excoriated for pointing this out.
1965,
the
Moynihan report. That's right, yes. The Moynihan report.
What is so people that took this as a way of putting down Blacks. What they don't understand was that, one, Moynihan was a scholar who knew that his own group, the Irish Americans, had that very same problem at the beginning of the 20th century. And more importantly, Moynihan's own father deserted the family when he was 10 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He and his brother were out shining shoes in Times Square and Central Park to try to bring in a few pennies to help keep the house going. And so
that kills that narrative that it's only been Black boys that we got to help mama. We got to pay these bills. We tired of seeing mama struggling. People have been going through that forever. And that will always be there. There will always be single women with kids. But I think it's very disingenuous to say that kids growing up in a 2-parent household don't have a better outcome. Out of all my friends, I'm the only one that grew up with my mother and my father. And I have a different reality than a lot of my friends currently. Most of them, if they did know their dad, they don't have a good relationship with him. I got a lot of friends still living at home with their mom. I got a lot of friends who just don't see their children as much as they should. There's a lot of women that are single mothers that are stuck in these situations of poverty and Section 8 and food stamps and government assistance and wash, rinse, repeat. And not coming from a strong family structure. I mean, look at the Wayans brothers. Look at all 6 of them became millionaires, you know? Look at the Jackson 5. It's possible to have a strong family unit. We just got to see through the propaganda. I'm going to link this video in the description box because I don't want to keep it going too long. But, man, there's so many myths that get promoted that if you don't have time to sit and read and write, you won't honestly know the facts. And I believe we live in a time today where there's so much information being thrown at you from every side, left, right, that it's kind of hard to know what's true and what's real and to see through the fraud and the smoke and mirrors. So, like I said, man, I'm here to shine the flashlight in the dark room to show my people, man, we're not oppressed. We've never been oppressed. We're not victims. We've had black millionaires since the 1800s. We've had strong families since slavery. Everything that we once had, we can have again. And we got more millionaires now than we've ever had in life. So now we just need more knowledge to share, and we can rise out of this dark place. So spread love, spread positive vibes. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel.